Things are going bad at Real Madrid.
Yeah,
Tell us what's going on. What's going on here?
Well, it's a really tough time for Real Madrid now at the moment because, I mean, last night after that defeat against Celta Vigo, there was a meeting at the Santiago Bernabeu in between Florentino Perez and part of this member board. And the thing is that, you know, when I realized that they were in that meeting, I asked them, is it 100% sure that if Real Madrid loses against Manchester City on Wednesday night, Xabi Alonso will continue as Real Madrid coach? And they told me we cannot assure that, which is, for me, the main thing now in Real Madrid, because there is a lack of faith in the project. There is a lack of faith in so many players that they are really below their normal level. And indeed, they don't really understand why Xabi Alonso is being more Ancelotti than Xabi Alonso, because in the first part of the season, we've seen Xabi Alonso with new ideas, fresher ideas that could come up with, and players didn't really understand that. And now he's like becoming more Italian, more Carlo Ancelotti, trying after that chat that he had with the players before Olympiacos match, he's trying to convince players, okay, if you tell me that we can play better this way, I'm gonna say, let's play this way. And that way that he wants to play now is like Carlo Ancelotti last season. And to be honest, this is something that, I mean, it's not working now at the moment at Real Madrid. And that's why the board of Real Madrid, they have so many doubts on the project up to this date.
So that's to say he's being more loose with them and letting them decide their roles.
Yeah, it is a pity because I was talking to one close source that I have on the locker room, and he told me, most of the locker room is with Xabi Alonso, but part of the players of that locker room are against. But that small part of the locker room that are against Xabi Alonso are key players, are really important players, and they don't really understand Xabi Alonso's tactics. They don't really like the way Xabi Alonso is managing the team, and that's why they are now winning that game. And, you know, that source that I have in the locker room, he was saying that if Xabi is going to be sacked on Wednesday, if he loses against Manchester City, he has to die with his own ideas. And it's not possible, and he couldn't imagine Xabi Alonso losing that game without his own ideas and with some players' ideas.
That's some pressure to be going into that game against City, Shaka, especially because it does seem as though City have turned a corner themselves. It's Pep Guardiola who knows well what it's like to come to this stadium.
I mean, just playing under that kind of pressure is not easy for anyone, regardless of the opponent. Just look at yesterday's game as an example. And now you've got Manchester City and all that they aspire to be in not just English but European football. And one of the greatest tacticians in the game today in Pep Guardiola. So this is a huge ask for Xabi Alonso. And even in going back to his whole ideas, to who he is, that significant part of the dressing room, albeit minority in terms of personnel, but significant in terms of their influence, you don't win players over that easily. When you lose players, you kind of lose them for good. And that is a concern because there's no way to address that aspect in terms of those players, and you can guess who they are, and their impacts on the game if they aren't willing to go that extra yard for the cause. And you worry if it's a losing proposition even from now.
He's got to be sunk, Rodrigo. I mean, you can't let the inmates run the institution. You just can't. And that's
from experience, Stevie.
I can assure you, you know, as soon as players get a sniff that they can influence you, regardless of what it is, you're sunk. And if you don't die on your own sword by doing it your own way, you're going to feel worse when you eventually get the sack. Alonso's going to get the sack and think, why did I cave in? Why didn't I follow my own instincts? And the one question I really want to ask you, Rodrigo, Vinny Jr. So the fact that he's turned round, allegedly, and said, I will not sign a contract while Alonso's here, is that a situation where they don't even talk? They just ignore each other?
Well, a Real Madrid board, when I say Real Madrid board, I say Florentino Perez. He believes that Xabi Alonso's tactics and decisions are not making this renewal easier for Real Madrid. And they think that as long as Xabi Alonso is on the bench, Vinicius Jr. won't renew his contract to Real Madrid. But that leads us to another question. Is Vinicius Jr. now more empowered than Xabi Alonso. Because I was listening to you now when you were talking with Augie about Liverpool, Mo Salah, Arne Slot and all these things, and I was wondering why in Real Madrid they don't have, talking about Xabi Alonso, he's not that back as a coach as Arne Slot in Liverpool. Yeah. And for me, that is the key of all. Doesn't matter if we talk about Vinicius, if we talk about Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, whoever, doesn't really mind. This is all about Florentino Perez trusting Xabi Alonso. If he never trusted Xabi Alonso, why Xabi Alonso doesn't die with his own ideas?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
You got to. And as I said, because things have already gone south. And from what Rodrigo's telling us, it's not changing. It ain't going the other way again. Because once players, as I said, get a smell of how they can influence not just you, but influence other people in the dressing room to follow them, and then all of a sudden, the snowball starts, and you can't stop the snowball once it gets going.
It feels like that with the injuries at the moment. It feels that's a snowball that they just keep adding to that. Obviously, we saw Militao having to come off at the weekend. Taking a look at the list here for those injuries, this not helping the situation whatsoever, Rodri.
And all of them on defense, which is the worst thing of all. It makes Xabi Alonso's task even more difficult because Trent Alexander-Arnold, we know he's going to be out till maybe late January, 1st of February. And the bad thing of all is Eder Militao. After what happened last night, he has been undergoing some tests this morning, and at least he's going to be out for 2 months. And depending on he's going on surgery, he's going to be up to 4 months out of the field, which is, for me, the key player of the defense, because if Eder Militao is in shape, he could be, I don't know if the best defender in the world, but at least one of the 3 best defenders in the world. And that makes Xabi Alonso thinking again and again and again and again. He's missing a lot Dani Carvajal, not because Trent Alexander-Arnold is good or bad for Real Madrid, but for the leadership that I think is something needed on that locker room. There is a lack of leadership and there is a lack of defenders too at the same time, that when you mix all together, leads to what's happening in Real Madrid at the moment.
What's your prediction for this Champions League game against City?
It's a hard one because, you know, I really like the way Guardiola coaches, but at the same time, you know, I'm in love with Xabi Alonso. But I think that Xabi Alonso is going to struggle, and I think that Guardiola is going to win.
Oh, wow.
I think so.
And will that be Alonso going, do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Shaq?
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. I just feel that Real Madrid are broken right now. And I don't know how you fix that, given the issues. More to the point, I don't know how Xabi Alonso fixed that in 3 days or whatever it is. And that's the issue here. That's the challenge here, up against a City team who are, I don't think, back to their best of 2 years ago, but are certainly as good as we've seen them since.
Stevie?
I thought things were bad at Liverpool. seems Real Madrid are not doing too well either.
They're second in the table. They won the Clasico this season.
But the history of Real Madrid,
positivity.
the history of Real Madrid is see you later. I don't care if we're second. Second isn't any good if you're Real Madrid. Not any good. So, thanks for coming.